Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's a live studio. Yeah, you just saw me raise my hand saying, oh, are we on yet? Yes, of course we are on. It's all about the 12-point resolution reached by the South governors. You saw at the end of the first discussion segment where Barrister Nakwen Banefo and Barrister Patrick Sekwane, they have these alternate view, opposite view on the national confab. They are heaping it on the financial, how will I put it now, responsibility or financial commitment that will go up. According to Barrister Nakwen Banefo, no matter the amount, we should meet and talk. Why Barrister Patrick is saying right now, the states, they are broke. Don't forget about COVID-19. How is this going to work? I have two legal practitioners here with me in the studio. I have Barrister Alao Amin. He's an Islamic scholar also. And I also have Barrister Thank God Inuebe. Thank you so much for being on this platform with me. I appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
All right.
Thank you, viewers.
Here we are with the 12 points on the resolution. And I'd like us to start off from where they left off. All right. They talked about confab. One of them said, look, we've had this before. Go dust off what Goodluck Jonathan administration did in national confab, implement them, and we won't be talking about coming back together again to sit down, discuss about it, knowing fully whether it is capital intensive. Barrister Alao Amin, what do you have to say about this?
Thank you very much. You see, we have at the national level, we have the Senate and we have the House of Reps. And those who are at the Senate and the House of Reps, they were elected by us. They were not selected. They were not chosen. They were not appointed. You are given opportunity to appoint your representatives to represent you at the House of Reps. And of course, the senatorial districts too, you are given opportunity to elect your senators who are there. The National Assembly, they are there. What is their duty? What is their responsibility? They are to represent you. Whosoever you feel is not properly representing you, you can recall him. You can recall him. The provisions are there. So now, this issue of now national confab, how do you select the delegates? Are you sure that those who are really qualified will go as delegates? Will the delegates not be the loyalists of the ruling party or those who have the authority and the power and the influence in the country? So if we have taken the pain to appoint people to represent us at national level, then we should not be duplicating this issue. That means we do not have confidence in those appointed to represent us at the Senate and House of Reps. They are now saying, okay, now, appoint us now. We want to go and now take decisions ourselves. That is the implication. That means we should now go to the Constitution, possibly amend it, and say, in addition to the House of Reps and the Senate, we want another body. How do you now appoint those to go to that body? These are not the things that will solve the problem. You see, when there is no readiness for selfless service, the problems will keep compounding. Everybody is trying to assume office for his own selfish interest. Nobody wants to spend 27 years in prison like Mandela. Nobody wants to lead his life like Martin Luther King Jr. Everybody wants to go there to grab and get. And then those who are also voting, Prophet said that your leaders will be as you deserve. Those leaders that are there, those are the leaders that you deserve. If they cane you, they flog you, that is what you deserve. You have collected your money on election day, before election day. You see that even traditional rulers, religious leaders, when they start campaigning, they go to these people and they give them back some money. Right. How many people reject it?
Right.
You see, when you talk of Pharaoh, let me learn with this.
Yes.
When you talk of Pharaoh as a bad leader, Pharaoh killed over 7,000 babies of the Israelites. Okay, how many of those babies did Pharaoh kill with his own sword? Pharaoh gave orders. Pharaoh was a bad leader. Then the worst followers were carrying out the orders of Pharaoh. Okay. So if the leaders are bad and the followers are good, then you can make changes. Okay. But where the followers appear to be worse than the leaders, they were serious too.
All right. I'll come back to you, Barrister Alao Amin. Barrister, thank God. national confab is there. What do you have to say about this?
First and foremost, I want to appreciate the views of my colleague here, in the sense that he has actually raised very critical issues on the fact that it is not the system that has problems. It is the individuals that runs the system. Whether you change it from a democratic government to a military government, you change it from what it is now to something else, the results will be the same if the individuals have not thought it necessary to do the right thing. So we keep changing systems, we keep changing laws, we keep changing modes. It will take us nowhere. Like he rightly said, unfortunately, I think we have our share of the blame, but again, we also have an imported aspect of the blame. Because when you go down history, you discover that Africans were not actually allowed to develop on their own basis. So having suffered colonization and having not grown properly, understood the rudiments properly, there's nothing we can almost do, as it were. As of today, you will see a lot of us, those of us who claim to have gone through the educational system or the academic system, as it were, when we check whether they understood what education was all about, by our thoughts, our actions, and our conduct, you discover that 70% of us do not even understand what education is all about. We keep priding ourselves we are educated. That makes it even worse, because it takes a humble man, a man who understands that he has no knowledge, to sit down and learn. That makes your problem easy. But where you assume you know when you do not know, meaning you are not ready to learn, and then it becomes a very big problem. So as it were, as I have repeated in this program, there are a lot of things we do not know. I mean the average Nigerian. I'm not talking about some individuals who have been able to upgrade themselves in terms of intelligence and knowledge, and they are doing their best to make sure that we move ahead. Unfortunately, the average Nigerian still has a lot of work to do.
It's all about the South Governors Forum, the 12-point resolution, and that's what we're taking a look at. With me here in the studio, I have two legal practitioners, Alhaji Alao Amin, and of course Barrister Thank God Ulwebe. They have been talking, showing their opinions and views on this 12-point agenda, so to speak. Now, I want to read through one of the points raised. Recommended that in a difference to sensitivities of our various people, there is need to review appointments into federal government agencies, including security agencies, to reflect federal character, as Nigerians' overall population is heterogeneous. Some of the presence of federal character in appointments, both military, police, NNPC, you just name it, in all affairs of government. Alhaji, what do you have to say about that?
Now, if you have entered into a treaty or a covenant or an agreement, it is expected that you need to fulfill what you have entered into. And so, since we have the provisions of the federal character in the Constitution, though as far as we are concerned, some of us were against it, but since it is there, and especially as it is observed clearly that the present federal government is not fair in terms of appointment into position of authority, the appointments are lopsided, and of course it is making other parts of the country agitate that, okay, we want to belong. Are you the only ones there? So I think there is need actually for the federal government to listen to the voice of the people. But nepotism is ungodly, nepotism is un-Islamic, and this will not make other parts of the country to have sense of belonging. You know, say, oh, are we really not Nigerians again? How come, are we not competent again? That does not mean that this issue of federal character is really good in its own. For example, look at the American President Biden. We are happy that some Nigerians are appointed to serve in that administration. But here, if you see a governor appointing the SSG to be from the same state, the chief of staff from the same tribe, chief of staff from the same tribe, say, oh, how come na Bini person? So we are so tribalistic. But since we have the federal character enshrined in the constitution, it is proper that we reflect appointment to take care of the various sectors that we have in the country. All
right. Now, Barrister, thank God, when Wike was approached after the meeting held in Asaba, talking about the meeting of the South governors, he made a comment. He said, look, no one is a second-class citizen in this country. This point here raised, does it indicate that one way or the other, some other parts of this country are treated like second-class citizens?
For me, I think that no one is treated as a second-class citizen. However, there are very critical issues that must be addressed. For instance, it pains me that it is just now that the governors of the South are beginning to react to certain things that they seem to have not been in the right as far as the appointments into the different federal agencies are concerned. However, it is never too late to start. I think they should do more than just writing agendas and sending to the federal government. They should do better than that and ask the government wherever they feel it is ailing or making a mistake, that they should make sure it is addressed.
And that's what I'm saying here.
Yes, and they can do far better than that, like just writing. For instance, they go there every month to get allocations. They can go there and say, no, if you don't do this A, Y, B, Z, S, hold our allocations for now. Let Nigerians know that we are not convenient and we are not comfortable with S, Y, Z decisions. You see, it pains me when I hear governors crying as if they are common citizens in the country. A governor represents not less than 3-4 million citizens of a state in Nigeria as it is today. And if a governor now gets to the point where they are not crying, it's quite unfortunate. And I think in their united front, they should take a position that will make the federal government knows that in the first place, if there are no states, there cannot be federation. And so because the system is so channeled that, oh, the federal government has certain advantage, does not necessarily mean that it cannot be crumbled by the states if they so decide. And so the federal government should urgently, as a matter of importance, quickly listen to these agitations and do whatever it is necessary to correct whatever anomalies that have been identified by these state governors, especially the southern governors.
All right. Now, there's another one here, Alhaji. Agree that the progress of the nation requires the urgent and bold step be taken to restructure the Nigerian Federation, leading to the evolution of state police, review of revenue allocation formula in favor of the sub-national government, and creation of additional institutions which legitimately advance our commitment to and practice of true federalism. Restructuring. That seems to be at the center of all this. What do you feel about this?
Thank you, and it appears as generating some controversies. I see reactions from the Senate President,
yes,
and even the Speaker, but they are saying no, we are not against any restructuring, but we are saying why should it come from you as the governors who are elected?
Okay.
So they are saying from that angle. And you see, this issue of restructuring, the problem is not the institutions. Our institutions are not strong enough, but we have strong individuals. Nigerians should wake up to strengthen the institutions. If you strengthen your institutions, you do not even need this so-called restructuring. If, for example, there is justice in the land, of course, things will go on smoothly. But when there is injustice, there is influence. Okay, now, even the governors calling for restructuring, state police. The state police, I never for one day support state police because I know power corrupts and adult power corrupts.
Absolutely.
The governors, the powers are their hands now. How are they using that power? Now, the autonomy of the judiciary that we are all crying for, who are those sitting on it? I don't know, the state governors? How about the local governments? Are they really functioning? Are they really existing? How about even the state houses of assembly? Are they not in the pockets of the governors that they use as handkerchief at will? Now you now want to compound your problem by adding state police. With that state police, we see what we are already experiencing. And the problem is, oh, we need to go to Abuja. We are only secure. We are the chief security officer, but we do not have the power. The security votes running into millions of naira. What have you been using it for? Then you ought not have been collecting it. Then stop collecting it. You have been collecting it, and of course, you have influence. The commissioners of police in the various states, some of them have been pocketed also by the governors because they do their biddings. Because of the benefits they get from the governors. Because Nigerians respect money and authority. And we know that the governors, they have money, they have authority. Now, I wouldn't want us to compound the problem by not adding state police. If at all, state police is to be allowed, let it be debated at the federal level. If it's debated, we know we are all present. Now, by the time, you see, and we also be careful not to also set the South against the North, or the North against the South. Because to some extent, as a Nigerian, I have the right to go to any part of the country to earn a living. But where your right stops, other people's rights begin from there. Why going to fend for means of survival? You have no right to take the life of another person. And that's why when you now say, okay, you are a cattle rearer, you are grazing your cattle, you now enter a farm, you kill the farmer, you rape the woman, you destroy the crops. It's very, very unfortunate. In the Quran, Surah Al-Anbiya, Quran chapter 21, the prophets, there's a particular story there that overnight, the shepherd led his sheep, they grazed into the farm and destroyed the crops. Then what happened? It was time of Solomon and David. David was the king and he passed judgment. He said, no problem. Now that the cattle, the sheep, they have grazed into the farm and destroyed the crops, the owner of the farm should now seize all the animals. It should not belong to him. Then Solomon, who was then 11 years old, now said, no, father, it should not go to that extent. Yes, the owner of the farm should be compensated, but not with all the animals. I suggest strongly that the milk of the animals, the wool of the animal, and then even some of the little kids of the animal be handed over to the owner of the farm as compensation, while he should hand over the remaining animals. So if there is justice, if your cattle stray to my land, and I can get justice, you will not do that again.
Okay.
Because you have lost.
All right. I'll come back to you, Al-Haji. Now, he said restructuring because it's really causing a kind of, a fracas amongst Nigerians in high places. What is your take on restructuring?
For me, I think I would differ from his argument a little, in the sense that restructuring is long overdue, especially when it comes to the issue of insecurity in the land. Like he rightly said, he was quoting what the governors are doing with the security vote, as it were. But the constitution is obvious that there was no direct responsibility attached to the security vote, as it were, as at today, and that is why it is not being accounted for. And it was a deliberate ploy by those who constructed it for whatever reason, to make them enjoy themselves, as it were. As it is today in Nigeria, the job of security lies with the federal government and not the state government, because it is the federal government that has the authority to control all the security agencies in the country. And so the governors are not able to control. Even if you said the commissioners are within their influence, it's just an influence. They can decide not to obey, they can decide to obey. As it were today, I think the origin of the state, for those of us who have a little history of the state, is that individuals are supposed to ensure their own individual security. But they donated it to the state and, as it were, to the federation unit. where you now discover that the federation unit is unable to cater for that security that you have donated to them, you have to fall back to your own security, as it were. So for the state governors, they are craving for state policing. It's not out of place at all. It is long overdue. And I think at this point, the federal government and all those stakeholders relevant in this matter should grant it to them.
But hold on now, he raised the point, talked about autonomy of local government, autonomy of state house and assembly, autonomy of judiciary. The presidency approved this, but the state governors, they kicked against it.
You're very correct. Like we said.
So can you not trust them with such an amount of power? Don't forget that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts.
I agree with you very quite all right. But the argument is this. Yeah. Like I earlier said, the individuals, we donated our rights. If we are not satisfied with what the governors are doing, for instance, in Edo State where some persons believe that they don't have judicial autonomy, the House of Assembly doesn't have autonomy, it is their right within their constitutional provision to negate it, to fight the governors, to give it to them. If the laws are there and nobody is doing anything about it, then it's unfortunate. For me as an individual, like I want to say, before the governor will first come to your house to secure you, you have to do whatever you can to secure yourself. So even when there is still state policing in the state, there may still be this problem tomorrow that even the state governors are not able to secure you. What do? You can push ahead and do something for yourself, as it were. So the federation unit is the one that appears failing as it relates to security today. Let's see what we can do to see that that aspect of it is addressed. The issue of autonomy, for instance, is just yesterday that the judicial workers went on strike, that the NBA, they are now supporting the judicial workers. Where were they all these years? This thing has been in the control for a long time. So until they agitate and make the governors know that they are serious, the governor may not listen.
All right. Before calling to wrap on this show, because our time is up, do you see the South governors going through with this 12 agenda?
I cannot predict, but I will just implore Nigerians, we should try to tread with caution to avoid the impression that we are trying to break up the country. As governors of a particular southern country, part of the country, we should also be interested in what happens in other parts of the country. I think that the meeting, they ought to have in their midst governors of other states. They are not taking decision. We, the governors, are now meeting. But we are now segregating, sectionalizing, regionalizing. I do not think it's fair enough.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister. Thank God.
Well,
do you see them going through with this?
I think it's a right decision at the right time, even though it's long overdue. For me, they should continue to agitate and push the desires of their citizens. The northern states, if they are convenient with what is happening now, because I know that there are a lot of governors who are also agitating there and they are not also happy. And I'm expecting that in no distant time, they will also hold the Northern Governors Forum and also push their own agenda, as it were. So that the federation, the federal government should sit to its responsibility and do that which is necessary to ensure that the state and the federation is secured.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen. Agreeing to disagree at the end. Anyway, just paint this picture. What if adventure northern governors will just choose to have their meeting and want the resolution to be up that, look, every man in Nigeria have the right to do business where he or she pleases, whether you're a cattle rearer or not. You are free to go to any state to, feed your cattle. How do you think this will pan out? Southern governors having their own view, northern governors having their own view, eastern and western governors having their own view. Do you think it's going to cause a little bit of disharmony, so to speak, in the country? It's an open question. It's an open question. Let Nigerians be the one to answer that. Gentlemen, I appreciate your wonderful analysis. Thank you so much. I know you have so much to say, but our time right now for today is up. Maybe subsequently, we're going to throw more light on this discussion. Once more, I appreciate both of you.
Thank you very much.
Well, viewers, that's it on the show this morning. Yeah, I believe that you've been informed and, of course, educated in course of all our discussions, starting from, the girl child hygiene regulators and, of course, the 12-point resolution of the South governors. Is it in conflict with the federation, or that is what Nigerians are really clamoring for? I'll leave that question for you to answer. See you some other time. Bye for now.